We have our activity model. We have our business rules. So now let's think about how we're going to create the structure model, basically the class diagram, the UML class diagram for our business process. And if we think about structure models, mainly we're trying to create a blueprint of the database. So this is a app we're going to use to create and develop the database itself. And of course that database is used to collect, aggregate, and communicate by means of reports information about the process. We're capturing information about the business process so that we can analyze it, evaluate it, and trace it later on. We use the REA framework. In accounting. So we'll use that for our UML diagram. And that helps us to set up the business process in a way that meets our needs as accountants, but it also helps meet the needs for management. Management usually has responsibility over various resource categories, various assets, also over various agents, various people in the organization, or various outside business partners. So REA framework is very useful in a lot of different areas.
Let's consider the business process Sunset has for sales. And we'll start with the quote. What are the business rules? And we'll call this Sunset's business rules that we're considering rather than just the overall process. So what are the rules that Sunset has to follow, or that Sunset chooses to follow when they go through their business process for sales and collections? Well, basically the first one for the quote is each quote deals with one supplier. So that's one and only one supplier. So let's see how that might look as we start to model this out. First, remember, we're going to use the REA approach, so our resources will be over on this area of the diagram. The events somewhere in the middle, agents over toward the right. So we've got a quote and we're going to be dealing with one of the Sunset partners or suppliers. We'll call it a business partner. Each quote will involve one of the suppliers and only one of the suppliers. Now we're going to have different business partners or different suppliers come up to us and try to do business with us, and hopefully we'll do business with a lot of them many times. So each business partner may participate in many quotes, but some partners may never get involved in a quote whatsoever. We have maybe two business partners that give us the cups that will supply us cups for logoing, and we just end up using one because they have better product, better prices, or whatever, better service even. So let's go back to our rules. Another rule that we could have is each customer can deal with a quote as well. So each quote will be for one customer. So you can see there we're going to basically say our business only will prepare an individual quote for one customer. So an individual quote is for one and only one customer. However, a customer, we're going to set up customers, but a customer may never get to the point where they ask for a quote for one reason or another. So a customer may never actually get around to requesting a quote from us, but hopefully over the course of their relationship with Sunset, they may request many quotes. Another thing to consider is that each quote is going to involve a product. Well, what can we say about that association? What is the association between quote and product? Well, let's go back, take a look at our rules, and we'll say each quote must include at least one product. So we're not going to go around creating quotes where we don't have a product involved. So this association between quote and product will have at least one product in it, but could have many products in it. Now we may decide to carry a product and put it in our product list, but customers may never ask for a quote for that product. So a product may never be involved in a quote, but hopefully products will be involved in many quotes. All right, so we're going back and forth between the business rules that we're defining or that we're discovering as we talk to the business owner, as we meet with the people or watch them perform their activities, and developing these business rules. So that takes us through the actual quote part of the process. Now let's move on to the order. So a quote may eventually lead to an order from our customer, and that order is going to be associated with a partner who is going to supply us the basic components for the order that we will then logo, and it's going to be associated with a customer, and the order will be also for product. So an order is always going to be for at least one product, could be for many. Likewise, a product may never be ordered, or it could end up being ordered many times. A partner may never be involved in an order, or may be involved in many. A customer may, even a customer with a quote, may never convert that quote into an order, or they may end up with many orders from us. However, each individual order will be associated with one and only one customer. So one and only one, and each order will be associated with one and only one partner. Now, we also want to consider the fact that the orders and the quotes are related. So the events themselves can be related. So a quote may never result in an order, so we've got a minimum of 0 there, but a quote could also result in an order. I may get a quote from Sunset and put an order in for 100 t-shirts. But then tomorrow I may come back with that same quote and order 100 more t-shirts. So a quote may result in many orders, 0 to many. Now as each order comes in, each order can at most be related to one quote. We're going to make sure that if an order goes to a quote, it only is associated with one quote maximum. But we may have customers that just come in and order without even bothering with the quote process. So we may have 0. All right, so these rules that we're going and creating, we can go back and say our next rule for the order. Well, the order does not have to be associated with a quote. But can only be associated with one quote max. So then we go on and we're going to develop additional rules for cash receipts. And on down the line through the business process. So let's take a look at how that's going to happen. So we'll get our cash receipt. And we're going to have a bank account that cash receipt, or a cash account, I guess it could be just the cash box that we have. Each cash receipt is going to go to one cash account. One and only one cash account. That's our business rule. That's the process we follow. Each cash account may have many cash receipts deposited to it, but there's a possibility that no cash receipts would ever come in. Each cash receipt is also associated to a customer, one and only one customer, but a customer may send in many cash receipts over time. And in our business, we are also going to associate the cash receipt with the supplier, the partner. So in that case, the relationship would be the same. Each cash receipt that comes in is going to be associated with one partner. And we may never get a cash receipt, or we may get many associated with that business partner. And finally, the cash receipt is also going to be related to an order. Our business rule, our business tells the customer you have to pay for an order in one payment. Therefore, for every order, we're going to have at most one cash receipt. And then, of course, we may have some customers who bolt and never pay, so a minimum of 0. Going the other way, for one cash receipt, well, it's going to be associated with an order, one order at a minimum, but we may have a big payment that covers many orders, so the maximum is many. Now we want to think about how Sunset wants to evaluate how they're doing. We've got the basics here to record transaction activity, to organize things by business partner, by customer, maybe even by product. But for Sunset's purposes, they may want to take things to another level. For example, they've got different types of products they deal with. They have cups, they have clothing items, they have decals and things like that. So in addition to how they've got things organized, they want to think about how they classify the information in their system. So this introduces something that we call types that we want to keep track of in our database as well and in our class model. So let's think about what we mean when we say types. And in a class model, we call those type images. And they're used to classify or categorize information. And by doing this, they help us apply guidelines, additional constraints, in addition to our business rules, and other descriptive information. If I'm a material manufacturer, I may have different colors that I want to use, color palettes, or a paint manufacturer. So descriptive information, guidelines, other constraints, other classifications for items in their resources, events, and agents. Help summarize. They can help summarize activity into different classification groups, mainly here, for management requirements. So for Sunset, here's what they want to do from a type standpoint. Sunset type images. To categorize products. They do have different product categories. Provide order status. So we might want to group orders by those that have been fulfilled, those that are still in process, those that are back ordered, or those that have been delayed for some reason. And then also, the way Sunset has decided they want to assign their business partners, they're going to assign business partners to manage product categories. So how will they go about doing this? We want to categorize products. We want to provide additional order status summarization capabilities. And then we want to assign business partners to manage various product categories. So let's go back to our diagram, and we can see we've got products. What we want to do is create another class here that allows us to categorize products. Product categories. So that product category relationship is going to be, each product is going to belong to one and only one product category, whereas a product category may be set up but not have any products in it yet, but eventually will likely have many products in it. So that is a type image for one of our resource classes. Next, we want to set up an order status type image. And that's going to associate with orders. Each order is going to have one and only one status associated with it at any given point in time. And for order status, the order status group, we may not have any orders in that status at a particular point in time, or we may have many. So we've got our two categorization and summarization type images added. Now we need to also support the business rule that tells us we want to assign partners based on product categories. So now we have the category class to be able to do that. And we can build the relationship with the partner where each category is assigned to a business partner, and each business partner may not have a product category to manage, but may be assigned multiple product categories. So what we have is a class model that's going to help us support building the database. Basically, what we have right now as classes in here, both your basic REA classes and then your type image classes, will turn into a table in the database. Now we also want to think about how we create relationships in the database. And we've done that in Access already. So what we have is a relationship from a foreign key to a primary key. So for example, in my quote, I'm going to relate a quote to an individual business partner. So that quote has to have partner ID in it as a foreign key. That partner ID is going to relate to the partner ID in the partner table. Likewise, each quote goes to one customer. So I will have a customer ID field in my quote table that is a foreign key that is related to my customer primary key. So the foreign keys will be on the many side of a one-to-many relationship. So partner to quote has one-to-many, therefore one-to-many relationship. Therefore, the quote needs a foreign key in order to build the relationship to partner. Now, what happens when we have a many-to-many relationship? So here, if you take a look at our diagram that we have, we've got two associations there that are many-to-many. Well, what's going to happen is we're going to actually have to create a linking table for a many-to-many relationship. So let's go and take a look at that and discuss some rules. So, from a class model or a class diagram to a relational database. What we'll do, the database will contain one table for each class, and that includes REA classes, and type image classes. It's also going to contain a table for each many-to-many relationship. And remember, when we consider the nature of the multiplicity, the one-to-many, the one-to-one, or the many-to-many are defined based on the max number on each side of that association. So each many-to-many relationship will have a table, and that will be a linking table. Now, multiplicities indicate where foreign keys will be used. So remember, we just discussed this. On a one-to-many relationship, a foreign key will be required in the table on the many side of that one-to-many relationship. And multiplicities can indicate linking tables. So they'll be required for each many-to-many relationship. So if we go back to our diagram, then we can see and start counting how many tables we need. So let's start with our basic REA tables here. We'll do those in green. So REA. Well, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 tables, 7 classes. Now, we also have type classes, so we'll do those in, let's do those in blue. So we have one type class here. We have a second type class there. So we have 2 type classes. And then third, we're going to have linking tables. And remember, we determined that linking tables would be required anywhere we have a many-to-many relationship. So that's many-to-many. So here we have 1, here we have 2. 2 linking tables will be required, giving us a total number of tables in our database of 7, 9, 11 tables in the database. So keep that in mind as we start building the database itself. And also remember where you're going to be creating foreign keys based on this diagram on the many side of the relationship. So basically everything you see here for quote, for order, and for cash receipt will require foreign key, customer number, and a foreign key partner. And in the case of this cash receipt, foreign key cash account number, or whatever you end up calling it in the database. Alright, so our class model here gives us the information we need to now go ahead and start building our database.